Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Rebrand Community Banking Podcast. We've got Steph with us today. Hi Steph,
Hi,
thank you for
Anurag.
coming to the podcast. Absolute. Let me, break a small story, right? Definitely, if I would have been in Steph's shoes, I wouldn't have come to the podcast. We met Steph at GAC. She was literally stepping out of the Marriott, and then two random guys popped up and asked Steph, do you want to be a part of the podcast? And she was so kind. She was like, okay, let's do it. And she asked us to mail her. And that's the way we got her in the podcast. But again, Steph, thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast. We are elated.
Thank you for having me. That was really a funny meeting and a funny story.
Absolutely. Quick introduction. Who is Steph, right? She doesn't need an introduction. She's been in credit unions forever. She's amazing. She's a CEO of Sunward Credit Union. Uh, Spent almost 20 plus years in the credit union ecosystem, in various leadership roles, CEO, CEOs. Right now, again, another new CEO role, leading the charter of growing Sunward from where it is right now. She's based out of Albuquerque, right? Amazing city. I've never been to. I've
hmm
just thought about being, and I can see the mountains up there. I'm just
hmm
contemplating that I should visit, right? So that's a quick 30 seconds introduction about Steph. Steph, in case I've missed something, please feel free to add.
Oh, no, thank you. I think you hit the high points there. Appreciate the introduction and appreciate being here.
Sounds good. Let's start the show. Steph, let's talk about your journey. If you want to talk about your journey to becoming the CEO of Sunward, that's what the world wants to know.
Yes. Well, so I am originally from Wyoming. That's where I grew up and where I started my credit union story. I was an intern for a credit union when I was in college. And, I accepted that role because it was the only internship that paid money. So it wasn't very altruistic. It was really based upon, getting experience and moving out into the world. And I had the fortunate opportunity to come back and work at that organization after college and spend a few years in various different roles. That was a small credit union, Anurag. It was like 90 million in assets when I started there, which I, appreciate having that experience today of that size of organization. But, as a result of that experience, um, I worked for a leader that said, you could be a CEO someday, which really planted that seed with me, that I would be able to, build my career and build a future towards that objective. And, uh, really led me to taking various roles. I lived in Texas for a while. I spent about half my time there as an executive, half my time as a CEO. Um, and then eventually here to Sunward, and on this journey.
I think those initial ideas that get planted or that initial dreams that get planted onto you, that remains forever. That's the reason you are a CEO. I think that's amazing. So I think that's called what I believe is called power of attraction, right? Once you think that you want to do this, it eventually happens up and you're an example. So that's great to hear, Steph. It's great.
Yeah, sometimes we don't think of that ourselves, though. It's recognizing that in other people makes a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the best things in life, I believe, happens when others come and see your potential that you're not able to see. And then we realize that, yes, I think I'm worth more. Let me
hmm
at least try something more. That's the way how it happens. So let's talk about your long-term vision right now. You came to Sun to transform the credit union. There was a rebranding that happened in your tenure. There's a reason behind it. We can talk about it more. But what is your long-term vision of Sunward? Where do you want to see Sunward after 5 years, after 10 years as a credit union?
Yeah, I think I'll start by why I think that financial services is such an important field to work in, specifically in credit unions, right? I think it's a privilege to work with people and their finances. It's one of the most important parts of our lives. It's one of the, can be one of the biggest stressors. And, we have the ability to really impact our friends and neighbors in a very important way, right? And so when I think about growing the organization and going into new markets, is with that impact in mind, right? How do we help people live a better financial life? We make it easier for them, and take away some of the mystery that's associated with managing finances, making it easier, removing some of the friction, and bringing that to more people. And so when we think about Sunward's growth, we really think about moving, into new markets. Today, we're in New Mexico, we're in Southern Colorado, we're in California. And so we see a lot of opportunity to extend this Sunward brand beyond the markets that we're in today, and other communities. With that in mind, though, that this is tied to helping people, right? And making sure that that's behind the growth that we put in place.
Yeah, get you. Let's move on to value differentiator, right? I mean, we were chatting earlier, Steph, that for me, a financial institution is somewhat a money moving machine. I mean, at least people in the late 20s, early 30s, for us, speed is really important. We wake up in the morning to TikTok, to Instagram, and we look at a reel that's 5 to 8 seconds. If that goes beyond, I mean, that's what my attention span is, like a goldfish. And I'm sorry about that. That's how the world is moving on, right? So again, my question is, we are not competing against the large banks. We are competing against a Spotify or a Netflix, right? Or even an Uber, for the lack of better words, because it's so personalized. In this ecosystem of ever increasing competition from fintechs, neobanks, large banks, even fellow credit unions, how is Sunward positioning itself to stay ahead in this rapidly evolving ecosystem?
Yeah. I think of a couple of different elements that are really important to us. One is that experience low friction and simple, right? Does it require a set of instructions, or is it really self-explanatory? I think that's an expectation across all digital platforms, right? It has to be personalized. So it should feel unique to you and what you're experiencing in your personal financial journey. Simple, personalized. And then the last element is we all know it's important to have a great digital experience. It also is really important to have a great analog experience. That has to be matched when you contact us at your contact center, because maybe you have a follow-up question. If you end up walking into your branches, we know that that's changing, but that expectation of what that services look like, it has to be across all of those channels, and making sure that we're delivering that regardless of the channel that you choose.
Yeah, I think, omnichannel was yesterday, right? I mean, now this is becoming more table stakes. And again, I do not believe people who talk about we do not need branches, we just need digital. I somehow do not believe in that concept. We need both branches and digital, and to ensure the delivery excellence or service excellence across both the channels. It's not easy. I mean, what you're doing, it's amazing, right? I mean, again, kudos to you for standing up a team that delivers it every single day. Steph, that's amazing.
Thank you.
In terms of culture, I mean, I'm a huge fan of company culture, right? I mean, you cannot undo a culture. I mean, an organization can only perform well once the culture is at the right place, right? And I'm very sure you, as a CEO, that's one of your OKRs, right? To maintain an amazing culture. So my question is, what role does company culture play in driving both innovation and resilience, right? At Sunward.
Yeah. It's a big focus for us here, both from our leaders and the role that leadership plays in culture, but also in terms of our values. So as we set about redefining the strategy of the organization, a part of that was saying what are the values of the organization that align to accomplishing that strategy. And this wasn't just to do away with 70 plus years of values in the organization. It was taking those values, adding on top of those, and then really incorporating those in everything that we do here. And that shows up through our performance management systems. It shows up through our recognition, how we set expectations, how we talk about the member. All of those things are aligned around our values, and that's really what we build culture around here at Sunward. I just feel like that's really the fundamental part of the organization is they can't just be pictures on the wall, right? They have to be part of what you live and demonstrate, and that extends from what the leadership expectations are all the way through the organization.
Yeah, I mean, do practice what you profess. Unless you do that, it's just a picture on the wall. That's
Hmm.
important. We're changing gears onto growth because that's what I do for a living, right? I mean, I might
Hmm.
selfishly ask you questions that I do for a living because I love those things. I love growth. I love growing credit unions. Uh, Now, obviously, Sunward has very deep, I would say, history with Sandia Lab, right?
Hmm.
Serving employees of Sandia Laboratories. Uh, so now with the new rebrand that has happened, right? So how do you ensure that Sunward's growth strategies still remain deeply rooted in delivering what it was delivering like 20 years back?
Yeah. We've retained a very special connection to Sandia National Labs, both through just our community outreach programs, but also our labs members have, uh, I'm going to call it special status in the organization. So within our rewards program, we have a level called Quantum, which ties right into what Sandia National Labs does. And those members that are employees or retirees of the labs get really special value from the organization that ties into their history of supporting us and us supporting them. So that's how we really ensured that our legacy members continue to feel like they're a very special part of the organization, creating special programs for them. They have a VIP phone number that they can call.
Yeah.
We really are committed to the labs as we recognize we have an opportunity to serve more individuals in the Albuquerque community and more individuals across New Mexico and across the Southwest. But that's how we've really stayed connected to our Sandia National Labs roots.
Separate VIP phone number, that really sounded fancy. I mean, I wish I also had a credit union that had a VIP phone number for me. That's so fancy. Interesting. Uh, Next question across leadership lessons, right? So, what is the most important leadership lesson step that you've learned across your career?
Mm. I think recognizing my own personal values, spending time understanding what was important to me to accomplish and staying aligned to those regardless of the situation. So I, really focus on courage and grace. Those are the values that, I look to instill in my leadership. Courage is about making the big decisions, the tough decisions, the trade-offs, the strategic bets, for the organization. And grace is about doing, sharing grace with others recognizing like we're all humans in this organization, extending grace to them and to myself as well. We're all doing the right things for the right reasons, and putting that is in the forefront of my thinking and as I engage with others in the organization is really important to me.
Yeah, that's a very powerful lesson, by the way, right? I mean, you should not underplay that. That's a very powerful lesson. It's amazing. One last question in the interest of time, because I have to be careful that I am spending time with the CEO. You have 10 different other important things to do than doing a podcast. So let me try to cut it short. One last question, Steph. What advice would you give to the next generation of leaders in credit unions?
Yeah. I would say to surround yourself with great people. One of the sayings that you hear a lot, both as a CEO and before you become one, is that, well, it's lonely at the top, right? And
Yeah.
it's certainly true that being a CEO is a different type of role than other roles in the organization. It's unique. And it doesn't have to be lonely, though. If you have great people around you that you enable to help you lead the organization and move it forward. Like really having a team just strengthens the CEO, in that you have great alignment. You have people that want the same things as you. It is like a built-in support system. And I think having that is critically important.
Fantastic. This was golden nuggets of information about your wisdom, about your forward thinking nature. Steph, this was amazing. And again, thank you for doing this with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Enjoyed being here.